Live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, India celebrates 11 years of Prime Minister Modi's leadership. Modi government has redefined governance in India, says BJP President JP Nadda. As UN conference opens in France, its chief urges ratification of treaty to protect the planet's fragile oceans. Union Minister Jatendra Singh leads the Indian delegation. India's Subhanshu Shukla to become the first Indian to travel to the International Space Station will lift off aboard Axiom Space's Mission 4. Los Angeles governor slams Trump's National Guard deployment as protests intensify over immigration raids. The Prime Minister Modi-led government has completed 11 years in office. Up next, we revisit the government's initiatives to empower and uplift women. June 9th holds a significant place for the government as Prime Minister Narendra Modi took oath on this day in 2024 for a third straight term as the head of a coalition government. The Bharatiya Janata Party presented a comprehensive report on Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government's achievements over the past 11 years. In Delhi, BJP National President JP Nadda held a press conference highlighting the government's accomplishments and outlining future goals for a developed India. JP Nadda underscored that under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, the Indian economy has surged from the 10th to the 4th place globally. Highlighting IMF data, he noted record growth in exports, income and tax collections, calling India the world's fastest growing major economy.
हमारी इकोनॉमी 10th से छलांग लगा करके 5th पर पहुंच गई और अब जो इंटरनेशनल मॉनेटरी फंड का जो अब नया डेटा आ रहा है वो हमको चौथे स्थान पर ला रहा है। फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी के रूप में हमारा चौथा साल लगातार चल रहा है। पर कैपिटा इनकम हैज़ इंक्रीज्ड बाय 67%. Foreign exchange reserves has increased by 135%. Exports at the record of to the US dollars is 825 billion. Gross FDI rise is 106%. Taxpayers का base increase हुआ है वो 127%. और उसी तरीके से gross डायरेक्ट टैक्स कलेक्शन ये भी 238% का इंक्रीज हुआ है।
Prime Minister Modi has highlighted the remarkable transformation India has undergone over the past 11 years under the NDA government. The Prime Minister emphasized that a clear focus on good governance and transformation backed by a collective participation of 140 crore Indians has led to rapid progress across diverse sectors. Prime Minister posted on X, and I quote, "A clear focus on good governance and transformation powered by the blessings and collective participation of 140 crore Indians. India has witnessed rapid transformations across diverse sectors. Guided by the principle of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas, the NDA government has delivered path-breaking changes with speed, scale and sensitivity. From economic growth to social upliftment, the focus has been on people-centric, inclusive and all-round progress. India today is not just the fastest growing major economy, but also a key global voice on pressing issues like climate change and digital innovation. We are proud of our collective success, but at the same time we look ahead with hope, confidence and a renewed resolve to build a Viksit Bharat. Unquote. Further, the Prime Minister reflected on India's transformative journey over the last 11 years, emphasizing the significant improvements that have enhanced the ease of living across the nation. Taking to social media platform X, the Prime Minister said, the last 11 years have brought many positive changes and boosted the ease of living. The Namo app takes you through this transformative journey in an innovative manner through interactive games, quizzes, surveys and other such formats that inform, engage and inspire. Since 2014, India's welfare, guided by Antodaya, which means welfare of the people at the bottom of the pyramid, has focused on inclusive empowerment, achieving 100% saturation in flagship schemes. Over the past 11 years, millions gained access to essential amenities, marking a data-driven, equitable governance era.
11 years of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. Poverty alleviation. Nation lifted 171 million people out of extreme poverty over the past decade. EPFO enrolled around 7.54 lakh new subscribers in March 2025, 0.98% year-over-year growth. IMF paper credits India with ending extreme poverty. UNDP MPI 2023 shows significant poverty reduction. Basic amenities to all. 15.59 crore rural households get tap water connections. 8 states and 3 UTs achieve 100% Har Ghar Jal coverage. 12 crore household toilets built. 5.64 lakh villages declared ODF+. 2.86 crore households electrified. 22.6 hours average rural electricity supply. 81 crore beneficiaries receive free ration under NFSA. Rupees 11.80 lakh crore allocated for food security till 2028. 5 lakh rupee health cover per family under Ayushman Bharat. 55 crore beneficiaries covered under PMJAY. All citizens aged 70 plus included under Ayushman Vay Vandana. Over 10.33 crore LPG connections provided under PMUY. Financial security. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, more than 52.77 crore loan accounts extended. PM Jan Dhan Yojana, a national mission for financial inclusion, more than 55.17 crore accounts. 68 lakh loans disbursed to street vendors under PM Swanidhi. Support for entrepreneurs and workers. India is the third largest startup and unicorn ecosystem in the world. 1.57 lakh startups recognized, 118 unicorns established. 30.86 crore unorganized workers registered on eShram portal. 53.75% women participation in eShram. 2.37 million artisans registered under PM Vishwakarma. 68 lakh street vendors supported under PM Swanidhi. 76.28 lakh vendors formalized. 30.86 crore unorganized workers registered on eShram portal. 53.75% women participation in eShram. Dignity and protection for transgenders, persons with disabilities. Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019 enacted for protection of rights of transgender people. National Council for Transgender Persons constituted to advise government on issues related to transgender persons. Bureau Report, DD India.
At the UN Ocean Conference in Nice on Monday, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged world leaders to ratify the High Seas Treaty to protect marine ecosystems. He warned that illegal fishing, plastic pollution and warming seas were damaging ocean health and threatening global climate resilience. Oceans absorb 30% of CO2 emissions, but their ability is declining due to rising temperatures. The treaty, adopted in 2023, allows for creation of marine parks in international waters. only 1% of which are currently protected. French President Emmanuel Macron announced 50 countries had ratified the treaty and 60 are needed for it to take effect.
Member States also adopted the agreement on marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction, a historic breakthrough. I urge all delegations to ratify it and welcome the good news given by President Macron and the momentum this conference is generating towards its swift entry into force.
We also have to continue to take action with regard to the question of plastics. 8 million tons of plastic are thrown into the sea each year. Discussions are essential. We will have here a global declaration, a mobilization that I hope will allow everyone to be mobilized for a next meeting, which we will try to focus in particular on the Mediterranean. But the battle to fight plastics on land and in the seas is essential.
La question du plastique, oui.
And India's Minister of Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh, is representing India at this conference which opened today. Dr. Jitendra Singh shared a video post on X along with a caption quoting that the opening session of the UN Ocean Conference began with an address by the President of the host country, France, Emmanuel Macron. President Macron makes an urgent call for multilateral mobilization to save the oceans, unquote. On the 10th of June, Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla will become the first Indian to travel to the International Space Station. Shukla will lift off aboard Axiom Space's Mission 4 or AX-4 from the U.S. Space Agency's NASA's Kennedy Space Center, piloting a SpaceX Crew Dragon. Shukla's 14-day mission aims to gain vital in-orbit experience ahead of India's Gaganyaan program. He will support over 60 international experiments aboard the ISS, advancing science, strengthening diplomacy and carrying forward India's space legacy 41 years after Rakesh Sharma's historic flight. The proud parents of Subhanshu Shukla, who will be, as we said, the first Indian to travel to the ISS, are praying for the success of the mission, which begins tomorrow. Let's listen into what Subhanshu's mother had to say.
भगवान से यही प्रार्थना करते हैं कि अच्छे से अच्छे उनका मिशन कंप्लीट हो और अच्छे से सब पूरे भारत का नाम रोशन हो. हम घर वालों का तो नाम रोशन है ही, हम लोग का सीना चौड़ा हो गया गर्व से.
And India's Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for reoriented space reforms brought in by the government. Taking to X, he wrote, India heads to the ISS as Subhanshu Shukla joins 3 crew members to take off tomorrow at 5:52 p.m. Indian Standard Time. A proud global acknowledgement of India's space capabilities. A befitting tribute to the founding fathers, Vikram Sarabhai and Satish Dhawan. The miracle of reoriented space reforms brought in by the government have lent a reinforced confidence into India's space flight. Thank you, Prime Minister Modi. And still to come up on this edition of DD India Live, China and the US trade officials to hold talks in London. Russia makes fresh gains in Ukraine's Dnipro. Petrovsk hits an airfield near Dubno using long-range air-launched weapons. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amritpal Singh. Los Angeles was thrust into chaos as thousands of protesters clashed with law enforcement following U.S. President Donald Trump's unprecedented decision to deploy the National Guard troops without the state's approval. So the governor of California has raised objections. Take a look at this report.
The situation in Los Angeles continues to deteriorate. Demonstrators clashed with National Guard, ICE and DHS agents in the latest iteration of protests against the immigration raids that swept across Los Angeles over the weekend. The Trump administration deployed the California National Guard in response to protests in Los Angeles that began on Friday evening over immigration enforcement operations between demonstrators and authorities. US President Donald Trump defended his move to send in the National Guard, saying they'll make sure there's law and order.
Law is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order. We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order. Yes, exactly. If people stand in the way of law and order, yeah, they will face charges.
President Trump's move to send the National Guard members to Los Angeles is drawing a lot of criticism. California Governor Gavin Newsom's administration called it unlawful, urging Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to resign the deployment of the National Guard to Los Angeles and return control of the troops to the state. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass also alleged that the move has caused fear and panic.
When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic. And deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation, but we need to be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum too waded in and said that the phenomena will not be addressed with raids or violence. We do not agree with this way of addressing the immigration issue. The phenomenon will not be addressed with raids or violence. It will be by sitting down and working on comprehensive reform that takes into account all Mexicans on the other side of the border. That is our position, and we'll always call for peace, for non-violence, not to intensify any violent form of protest. The Los Angeles Police Department began making arrests after declaring several protests unlawful assemblies and authorizing the use of less lethal munitions. Not since 1965 has a president summoned the state's National Guard against the will of a governor. Trump cited a rarely used law enabling him to bypass the governor in the event of a rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. Bureau Report, DD India.
In a bid to ease rising tensions, the US and China are set to meet in London on Monday for high-stakes trade talks. Both sides are hoping to revive a fragile agreement reached in Geneva last month, offering a potential path to stability after months of escalating trade measures under President Trump's renewed administration. Here's a report.
US President Donald Trump has said that his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping has agreed to export rare earth minerals and magnets to the US, in a move that could lower tensions between the world's biggest economies.
Well, we're very far advanced on the China deal. We wanted clarification. We had to have clarification. A little bumpy up here. We had to have clarification, and that's what we're really having the meeting about. We had a very good talk. I talked to President Xi for, I guess, more than 2 hours. We had a very good talk. It's a complicated deal, but it's a deal that's bring us a lot of money and a lot of everything else, and we get along very well with President Xi and with China.
The remark comes a day after Trump and Xi had a rare telephonic conversation amid weeks of disagreements over tariffs. Rare earth minerals are crucial components of electronics, magnets, and batteries. According to a report, China has granted temporary export licenses to rare earth suppliers of the top 3 US automakers. Delegates from Washington and Beijing are set to meet in London on Monday for further trade talks. In May, the two sides struck an agreement in Switzerland to roll back for 90 days most of the tit-for-tat tariffs they had placed on each other. But China's decision in April to suspend exports of a wide range of critical minerals and magnets continued to disrupt supplies needed by automakers and military contractors around the world. Trump had accused China of violating the Geneva Agreement and ordered curbs on chip design software and other shipments to China. Bureau Report, DD India.
And leaders from the far-right Patriots for Europe group joined the National Rally's Victory Day celebrations in a French village, marking a significant political alignment. The event, held amidst rising far-right influence, underscored their shared nationalist and Eurosceptic agendas. This gathering highlighted the growing collaboration between these parties, aiming to reshape European politics with a focus on sovereignty and cultural identity. Russia has claimed fresh gains in Ukraine's Dnipro-Petrovsk region, along with a major strike on an airbase near Dubno, using long-range air-launched weapons. Moscow says the attack was in retaliation for recent Ukrainian strikes on Russian military air bases. Earlier, the Kremlin stated the advance was aimed at creating a buffer zone, but Kyiv has dismissed these claims as disinformation, denying any Russian ground presence in the region. And amid the ongoing conflict, the Kremlin has said it remains ready to honor agreements on prisoner swaps and repatriation of fallen soldiers. But Moscow has accused Kyiv of stalling the process, claiming that Ukraine has indefinitely postponed the exchanges agreed during recent peace talks in Istanbul.
The Russian Federation is committed to the accords reached last time in Istanbul during the second round of talks and always fulfills the reached agreements. This is not the case with the Ukrainian side. We have seen and heard 100 of different excuses, justifications, and so on, but they can hardly be accepted as something plausible. The Russian side preserves its readiness to fulfill those accords which had been agreed upon in Istanbul.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, however, has reaffirmed commitment to the swaps, saying that Ukraine is still awaiting the full list of prisoners from Russia. Nepal's anti-graft body on Sunday filed a corruption case against 18 people, including a former and incumbent managing directors of the government-owned Nepal Telecom. The case was filed by the Commission for Investigation of Abuse of Authority at the Special Court over alleged irregularities in the contract extension for maintaining Nepal's telecom billing system. The CIAA claimed that a five-year agreement had been reached for an integrated billing system with the aim of causing losses to public corporations through mutual collusion. The anti-graft body has demanded a compensation claim of 334.8 million rupees against the defendants. A container vessel, MV One High, sailing from Colombo to the Nahava Sheva, reported an explosion in the underdeck, leaving 4 crew members missing and 5 injured. The merchant ship carrying containerized cargo had a total crew of 22 at the time of the incident. After receiving the distress report, a Coast Guard chopper was immediately dispatched to assess the damage. In a rapid response effort, Coast Guard vessels Rajdoot, Arnavesh and Sachit were diverted to assist in firefighting and rescue operations. Let's now take a look at the other stories making news around the world. In Malaysia, a bus carrying university students back to their campus smashed into a minivan, killing at least 15 people. 13 victims died at the scene, while 2 additional deaths occurred in the hospital. The accident is said to be the deadliest in over a decade on Malaysia's roads. Around 75 people, some sedated and some with feet tied, rescued from 2 illegal care homes in Bulgaria, where they were subjected to brutal mistreatment. The regional prosecutor's office said 5 people had been arrested and an investigation had begun into kidnapping, violence and negligence. And in Vietnam, a special musical gala titled Glory of the Vietnamese People's Public Security Force held in Ho Chi Minh City. The musical event featured grand performances by renowned artists, vividly portraying the force's silent sacrifices and heroic achievements throughout history. And that's it in this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR codes on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live.